laid back to this nice dope beat, you know, and drop some smooth lyrics. It's AP. Time to set it straight, you know what I'm saying? It ain't no half step. Word. Mr. C, step to me. Mr. C, step to me. Mr. C, step to me.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to our first episode of the Politrickkks As Usual podcast. I first want to send a shout out to our DJ Billy Busch, one of my favorite DJs, hands down, sharpest hands in the land. And when it comes to just like the art of DJing, in my opinion, there aren't many that can really mess with Billy Busch. So I'm thankful to have him as a part of our program and opening our show like this. It's going to be an amazing ride, and I look forward to everything we do in this program. My first guest today is Mike Coney. He's a licensed insurance agent. So Mike, just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started, and what's your expertise?
Mike Coney, I'm from Stanford, born and raised. I have been selling insurance, life insurance, for approximately, 19 years or so. My background is, I started out in New York Life. I was only selling life insurance to people, and I was doing pretty good for myself. I was working down in the city off of Wall Street, and I would go into people's homes and I would sell them life insurance, and they would ask questions like, how can you sell home insurance? How can you sell home insurance? So I transitioned to where I'm currently employed at now, which is State Farm, and I've been here for over the last 18 years selling everything now. But, my bread and butter, where I feel like I'm making an impact in the community that I serve, is by selling our people, my people, life insurance.
Right. So obviously, you and I, we have a lot of conversations off camera about the importance of life insurance in our communities. But let's start with just saying, like, in your opinion, what is it you think that keeps people away from life insurance? Why don't you think it's more of a dominant conversation in our community currently?
It's finances, and it's the unknown. So things that we don't really know about, sometimes people don't really know how to go about, doing the research, or most of the times, people are not coming into our community and educating and informing us on life insurance. So if we don't know about it, we don't talk about it, the only time people really get concerned is when somebody gets sick in their family. Right. And they're scrambling to figure out whether someone has life insurance or not. But that's a long time to be approach.
Definitely.
Everyone should be comfortable talking about life, and life insurance is a part of life because everyone is going to pass away. Everyone's going to die.
Right.
So,
do you think that people stay away from it because like they're scared of just the whole topic of like dying? I mean, we all gonna go, bro. Everybody's gonna go.
It's funny you say that because, I've been selling it for a long time, and other communities, Stanford is a real melting pot. I have friends that are West Indian, Haitian, and stuff like that. And, Caribbean culture, what I've been hearing is their culture, they don't really like to talk about it because they think that someone wants to, maybe kill somebody for their money or something like that.
Right.
So, but
that does happen though. It does happen.
But I just feel like, people are just not educated to just really understand how it could benefit them and their family in the future.
Right.
Or even now for that matter. So
right.
I feel like it's just fair, and people just are not comfortable having uncomfortable conversations.
Right. Well, one of the things that you and I discussed is like just the affordability of life insurance. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe I got it from you, but I always use the example to people like, you got your phone insured, you got your car insured, you got your apartment insured, but you don't have your life insured. And so I wonder if they're just afraid of the price of it, or they just don't know enough. But can you just tell us a little bit about some of the costs associated with life insurance and what that looks like?
All right. I'm going to piggyback off of some of the reasons why I think people don't have it also. People get it. Most employers are going to give you a variation of life insurance. And most of the time, those policies are as long as you are employed at that job. So people get the false sense of reality of thinking that what they have is good. But if you just keep bouncing around from job to job to job, you know, you don't own those policies. And every time you lose your jobs, you know, the company that you were employed with, they take the policy.
So what do they do with the policy? They take it and cancel it?
Yeah, it's just cancel. You know, they're just giving you a benefit, you know, while you're there. Probably to make it more appealing of a place of employment, you know, just to offer, hey, we're giving you this, we're giving you health insurance, or giving you 401k, and we're giving you life insurance. So it's just another incentive. But you can probably get a policy if you are in your mid-20s. I mean, I'm selling people policies. You know, today I wrote 2 policies for people that are less than $20 a month.
Wow.
That's less than $1 a day.
Right.
You know,
it's like when we put it into that perspective, and I try to always break things down to people in like the smallest level, just so they can understand, like, yo, for $20 a month, your life could be insured. So if something happens to you, your cover is at least your burial expenses. Because like, what is the average cost of a funeral? A basic funeral
nowadays, probably between 12 to 15,000.
12 to 15,000, and that's just to put you in the hole. That's not counting like the headstone or any other special things you may want to do. So we talking about $15,000 just to die. But so I want to just touch on too some of the work you do, because I know, like myself, we're very active outside and reaching some of the community. And I just want to highlight some of the work you've done in talking to some of the street people, because in my opinion, those are the people who need it the most, the people who live in the most risky lives, but are uninsured. And I just know that you have always been a person to go out there and reach a lot of these people. So I just wanted to highlight the fact that you're doing that type of work.
I try to. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I used to be more active, and with the megaphone to let everyone know, hey, this is what I do, and you need to be, this is something that you should be pursuing if you don't have it. But what I found is, people are interested in things that they're interested in, and you can't make people, have an interest in something that they don't care about.
Right.
A lot of people are selfish, and they don't see how getting some life insurance could, they don't see the benefit for them. But it's a benefit for your family and your loved ones. If something happens to you, you don't have it, and then they're scrambling at the end to try to figure out where they're going to get money from.
Right.
So, it's a selfless act to purchase life insurance, because you're doing it to make sure that somebody that you love, doesn't have to worry about, where they're going to get, funds to bury you from at an untimely situation, especially when they have to deal with, burial and other things. They shouldn't have to worry about where they're going to get $15,000 to $20,000 cares.
Right. That's absolutely the worst time to be talking about like coming up with fundraising. And so in our community, like we always talk about, a lot of things that we see are GoFundMes for funeral expenses. And so it's like, that's cool to do, and people will pitch in and people will help. But what happens if you can't reach your goal? Like, you know what I'm saying? I just don't think that's a good time to like be trying to figure out the financial part of such a.
It's like it's just a matter of people prioritizing what's important. Like you said, people, they have car insurance. People call me every single day. They're looking for car insurance, and they could be paying $300 a month. If I tell them, hey, it's going to be $200 a month, they're going to jump at it.
Mm-hmm.
But, I had basically told people before, you have no problem spending $200 a month to protect your car.
Right.
But you don't want to spend $30 or $20 to protect your children in case something happens to you. But it's not just protecting. It's just a matter of, you can leave a legacy.
Right.
A lot of times in our community, we don't really, in the inner city, people don't accumulate a lot of wealth on their own.
Right.
So, this could be your one chance to make sure that you are leaving something, like leaving a legacy, even if, if you can't pass down a house,
right.
Or you can't pass down land, which a lot of us aren't privileged to have. But, everyone could afford, $1 a day, $20 a month, $30 a month. So it's just a good way to just protect yourself.
Right. And I absolutely agree. I do know from firsthand experience that it is an opportunity to access a large amount of capital when you may have otherwise never had the opportunity to. Tax free, right? So I'm not so privy. I'm not so educated on the tax part of it, but I do know my mother had a policy, and when she passed, it triggered. And so what it did was allow us an opportunity to access an amount of capital that I'm not sure I would have had a chance to ever access at the position of life I was in at that time. So I think that what we don't talk enough about is the wealth building aspect, the generational wealth building aspect of life insurance, and how sometimes it could trigger. I mean, you can get $1 million policy, like you die, you get $1 million. You know, it's like, so we don't talk enough about the generational wealth building of life insurance. But what everyone does talk about is the way you could use life insurance in life. So I wanted to talk to you about the different types of policies and the way you could use them and how they build cash value and some of the things that I've heard about through life insurance policies.
Let's start with different types of life insurance. The one that is most popular is people like permanent or it's called whole life or like a universal life policy. And those are the policies where you get the policy, let's just say, for example, you pay $100 a month, and over the course of time, it builds cash value. People like these policies because the cash value is accessible. So the life insurance is not only a death benefit, it's a living benefit as well. So as you're living, you know, let's say you get a policy, like I say, you pay $100 a month, you had that policy for 10 years, you know, the whole $100 is not going towards the savings. But there's, you know, the way that they divvy it up, a portion is paying for the life insurance and a portion of it going towards building cash value. And over the course of time, you might look up and you may have 10, 15, 20,000 of cash value in the policy.
Right.
That what makes whole life appealing to people.
Right.
Because people like the fact that I could tap into this. And those policies, I used to sell a lot of those policies when I was younger. And I wasn't seeing a lot of people, young people passing away. But as the older I get, I realize that those policies, they're good. Any policy is better than no policy. Let me just say that first and foremost.
Right.
If you have any policy, that's better than you not having anything.
Right.
But a whole life policy or a permanent policy that's going to build cash value, that's going to be more beneficial, you got to pay more money for it. Right. So that $100 a month policy, you may only get, you know, 100,000 of a policy. But the benefits of that policy is the price is locked in. It's never going to change. And if you get sick or you get some type of illness, which will, you know, in the future or previously prevented you from getting life insurance, once you get that policy and you're locked in, it's never going to change. And no one can take it away from you as long as you're making your payments.
Right.
So that's what makes whole life appealing. But the policies that I had been, you know, I don't say staring people to, but more so helping people, you know, make decisions on is just term insurance.
Right.
And term insurance is exactly what it sounds like. It's just for a certain duration of a term. It can be 5, 10, 20, or 30-year term. And those policies for people that, you know, are not financially, you know, wealthy or, you know, money isn't an issue for them. But people may not, you know, feel comfortable with spending a lot of money, $100, $200 a month on the policy. So term insurance is budget friendly, and it just allows you to purchase a lot of insurance for a more affordable price. Right. So for that same, you know, $100 a month, you really could get $1 million policy.
Right.
You know, for $100 a month.
So you touched on like the fact that, you know, you can access the capital while you're living. And so how does that impact if I build cash value, 10 grand or whatever, cash value, and I take out 10,000 cash value, does that have to be repaid back, or can I keep that $10,000 and it doesn't affect my death benefit? Like if I die and my $10,000 paid out less on the
policy, if you have a whole life policy, the way the whole life is probably set up, it will probably diminish some of the cash value in the policy. But if you are getting the policy with the intent of accessing the cash value, most people probably really don't care. Right. You know, if you take out 5,000, you got $100,000 policy or $200,000 policy, they may say it in their head, well, you know, this is a living benefit as well. Do you have to pay back the cash value? No, you don't necessarily have to pay it back. Will it shorten the policy need the cash value? If you have a universal life, depending on what type of policy you have, there's some universal life policies where you can get the policy and you can take out the cash value and it may not, you know, it will not affect the death benefit. So it just all depends on what type of policy you have.
So let me just ask you a question, because you are out there like talking to people. What is your biggest obstacle? Like when you're talking to someone about trying to get them to purchase life insurance, what are they saying to you as to why they wouldn't do it? Like, why wouldn't somebody get life insurance? If I explain to somebody what it is, what would make them say, you know what, I'm good on that, I'll pass? What people say is, if something happens to me, my family will take care of my responsibilities. You know, that's a common answer. Or I have my job, or I don't need it right now, or I'm good. Which is crazy because you never know when you're gonna die. Yeah. Like how would you not need it? You definitely would need it.
A lot of people have the false security of, like I said, what they have and what's their job. But your job, you may have a policy through your job, but your job may give you 1 times your salary, or, you know, they may give you 15 or 20,000. And that may be enough to put you on the ground. You may not have, you know, excess bills or responsibilities. You may not own a home, and all you may very well be concerned with is just making sure you can be buried. But I think if people just realize how inexpensive it was and how much easier they're making it to obtain the policy, I think more people would be walking around with life insurance.
All right. So I want to touch on a little history of life insurance and when it began. It began, from my notes here, it began in the 1700s for insuring like boats and cargo and things like that. Then it eventually became lives. But I just want to touch on some of the discriminatory practices that was around during the invention of life insurance. And so there was a gentleman by the name of Frederick Hoffman. He's a prudential statistician. So he published a report, and in the report, he made claims and said things that like black people are dying faster at higher rates, and we catch diseases faster. Like all these claims he made in this study that he did that was eventually published. And a lot of insurance companies, hospitals, and a lot of systems took that published document and started implementing those practices into their business. So as far as life insurance was concerned, in the very beginning, in 1881, things started changing. So before that, African Americans could buy equal footing life insurance, the same. But once that report got published, it changed things. So one of the things that it changed was that it made black policies a third less in value. So it devalued the policies. They will be worth 1/3 less than the same plans held by their white counterparts. Their weekly premiums remained the same. The benefits for the children didn't change, but the weekly premiums for their policies would rise by 5 cents. So I just want to touch on this because some of the origins of life insurance excluded us in a way, and I wonder if that had any impact on where we are today as far as having life insurance. I mean, they actually put things that were in practice that made it harder for us to purchase life insurance. So I wonder, do you feel like there's any correlation or discriminatory practices in life insurance that you're seeing today?
I could definitely see in the origins of, again, and you know, as a tool to make it not attainable.
Right.
You know, they make the premium more expensive, and, you know, minorities in particular, black people at that time, you know, were, you know, living in poverty. Mm-hmm. If you make it so that way people can't afford it, or you make it so that way they can't purchase a policy and, you know, pass away and leave wealth, then, you know, you're making it harder for people to advance in life. You know, you're making, you know, their life from the very, you know, from beginning to the end, you're making it hard for multi-generations to get out of the hole that we were put in. Mm-hmm. Discriminatory practices now, life insurance is discriminatory. It's 100%. You know, it may not be drawn on the lines of race, but you know, if you get sick, they could deny your policy.
Right.
You know, you could have a policy like this. That's what I was saying. If there's certain policies where you get it, like a whole life policy or something like that, you know, no matter what type of illness you get later on in life, once you get it, you're locked in, and you know they can't take it away from you.
Right.
Now, if you have a term policy, and you're healthy today, so you got a 10-year term, the policy is coming, you know, is going to come to an end. And let's say you had cancer, you know, let's say a woman that had breast cancer a couple of years ago, she may find it hard to get a policy. That's discriminatory,
right?
You know, but it's just normal practice to the point where they may not, you know, use the word discriminatory, but that's basically what it is. They're allowing who they want to have the policy, or they may offer the policy if they want to offer with conditions, or they're going to make it so hard for you to obtain it financially, you may not want it.
Right. I have a question for you. Does location impact the cost of, like, if I'm in a high crime area or a place where people are like dying a lot, does that impact my rate?
That does not, but the rates are different from state to state.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, and I guess to answer your question, no, people who live in Bridgeport aren't
right.
more of a life
right.
insurance than
right.
people who live in Brentford.
Right. That was my question.
Here's the thing. Term insurance is getting more inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
Whole life, more permanent life insurance right now, the price is just skyrocketing.
Mm-hmm.
Where I wish that I would have purchased more whole life or more permanent insurance when I was younger, but I didn't have the foresight. I didn't have the foresight or the vision to think about the future, about just purchasing as much as I could while I was younger, while it was, you know, more inexpensive. Because the older you get, the closer you are to passing away.
Right.
And the closer you are to passing away, the more expensive and the harder they make it for you to obtain it. So that's why when you start to get older and you start to want life insurance, like they may make you do blood work, they may make you do urine, they may, you know, look into some of your medical history, if you're taking medications, or if you're diabetic or have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, they're gonna make it harder for you.
So when I got my and you sold me the policy, you sold me my life insurance policy, but when I got my life insurance policy, I had to do, like, you know, was it a physical or something like that? I had to do blood work. But I know you mentioned that things have gotten easier to get it. So at this point in life, are there many things that will exclude you from life insurance, or how easy or hard is it? What are the steps to get life insurance? If someone like watching this program and they say, I want life insurance, what does that look like for them?
They could purchase the policy online, but they should do some research. And if you don't want to speak to somebody, just do your research to see, you know, what type of policies are out there, but also what fits your needs, but equally as important, what fits your budget.
Right.
Because everyone may want the best policy, in theory, but can you afford to maintain, you know, making the payments on that policy for a duration of time, without any financial burden or, difficulties. So, you know, when I'm selling somebody a policy, you know, I may give them a rundown and I ask them what's important to them, but, you know, I'm always going to ask, what are you comfortable with paying? Because you don't want to purchase something because you like it today, right? But, you know, tomorrow you can't afford to pay it. So a lot of times, you know, I am selling a lot of term insurance because, like I said, it serves two purposes. It allows you to just buy a lot of insurance, and, you know, at a lower premium, where it's not just putting a burden on your pockets and your other household responsibilities throughout the month or so.
Okay. So I just want to circle back to just showing the differences in our community. Do you know the percentage of Blacks that are insured with life insurance versus the percentage of, like, anyone else?
I could tell you that Black people are the most insured people for life insurance in the country.
That's crazy. How long has that been? Has that always been the case, or how long has that been the case?
Probably within the last 10, 20 years. But by percentages, 56% of Black people have life insurance. It's good. And then probably the next is probably is Caucasians, white people, probably maybe like 52, like, but we are the most insured people. But, what is policies looking like? A lot of these policies that people have are policies that that your grandmother might have got 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
And, those were small policies because the cost of living were small. So we're not really seeing a lot of maybe like large transfers of wealth or people passing away and leaving people large sums of money. But, it's easily more accessible and tangible now. And, with all of the information that's out there, more people should be, looking to insure themselves and their children and, definitely insure their children because no one knows when someone's going to pass away,
right?
Unless you get sick and, you just basically waiting for that day to come. But children accidentally pass away.
And I don't think, and people they don't want to think about that, but it happens.
Yeah, like people don't want to have the hard, difficult conversations. So they would much rather just, put it to the back of their mind and just not think about it and then not be prepared. But we as a people, we're not prepared for a lot of stuff because we don't really have the difficult, conversations. And if we did, if you lined up the things that are important and you discuss them amongst your loved ones and your family and your peers, and you just bounce some ideas off each other, information is power. So, the more you know, the more better off you'll be prepared. Teach them.
Well, anyone looking to buy life insurance, where are you licensed to sell life insurance at currently? Where can you sell life insurance?
I'm in Connecticut. I used to have a New York license. I'm on a purge to get my New York license again, so I'll be able to sell insurance in New York. But the way that life insurance is right now, and with all of the technology, if you're in Connecticut, you don't even have to meet me in person. Everything could be done over the phone, email, and text. So, it's pretty easy. Somebody could just not be insured today. They could be in Hartford and they can call me and they could be insured today. But,
So is there anything you would like to leave the viewers with, imparting words for life insurance? Anything you want to leave, want to impress on their minds about life insurance?
Just talk to somebody, professional, but have the conversations amongst your loved ones. Check to see what your grandmother has a policy. Your mother in her late 60s. Hey, Ma, where's that policy? You said you had a policy, right? You're still paying on it. You have to, in order to make yourself comfortable, you have to be uncomfortable, and you have to do your due diligence so that way you are aware of, what's important. So, but if someone's looking to get insurance or you have questions or you want me to look over your policy or anything related to, this topic, this matter, I'm available. And you can reach me. People, you'd be surprised. People they'll reach out to my inbox, or somebody will, post something on Facebook and somebody will tag me or something. But my number is accessible. The whole world has it. And I don't really care whether you reach out to somebody or, I'm not hard to find if you want to get in contact with me, or I know other people that sell it. But, even if you just want to have a conversation with somebody just to review what you have, I'm available.
All right. So I want to thank you again for the work that you're doing, and to continue to reach out to people and continue to try to get them to purchase life insurance because it is important. And I just want to part with some last words, especially for the guys in the streets. Like, call somebody and get any policy. The last thing you want to deal with is your family, stressing out if something happens to you. It's possible. You're in the street, right? So my street guys out there, I want y'all to call somebody, reach out to somebody, and try to get a policy today. $10, $20 a month, it can happen.
They got it.
So always a pleasure, bro. Thank you for your time and thank you for all the information. And we're gonna keep working.
Nah, listen, I want to thank you because you spoke about this for many years, and you are a recipient of someone passing away and loving you enough to leave you something and you doing something with that. So I know you are an advocate of it. You see the benefits. And, you know, every time somebody call me for some life insurance, so, you are always constantly a center of influence and, trying to let the information flow through you. And I appreciate you because you set people to me. And I appreciate you.
For sure, brother. All right, but well, thank you for your time, and let's do this again another time.